Katamari Damacy is an evergreen game experience that brings a sort of blissful childhood glee to all those who play it. Coming from the imagination of Keita Takahashi, Katamari can best be described as a game that hits on that sense of childhood imagination, where as a kid you may have said, "Hey, what if I could roll up the entire world into a ball?" Not only is this game imaginative, its simple concept makes for some incredibly addictive fun to boot. Every now and again, a game so zany comes out of nowhere and carves its own niche, becoming both memorable and profitable enough in the mainstream to warrant sequels. Katamari Damacy is a decidedly Japanese-style game that normally would never see the light of day in North America. Luckily for us, Namco decided to localize it anyways. It seems, however, that Europe did miss out on the original, but did get the follow-up, We Love Katamari. I also missed picking up the first two on the PS2 back in the day myself, but did win a free copy of Beautiful Katamari on the Xbox 360 from a GamePro.com offshoot website. So while I wasn't completely Katamari-less in my day, seeing Katamari Damacy REROLL available on Steam for a $15 sale price finally netted me a copy of the original. And since I've had most of this footage on my external hard drive since May of last year when I was planning on doing this review, I've also since picked up the PS2 version of the original and We Love Katamari, which were more reasonably priced than I expected them to be.
When the king of the cosmos accidentally destroys all the stars in the sky, he orders his pint-sized princely son to help him restore the cosmos by rolling
anything and everything into clumps he will then use to turn back into the stars and constellations in the sky. The concept of Katamari Damacy is simple. You roll things up with your Katamari to increase the size until you can roll up larger objects, to increase the size to roll up larger objects. Rinse and repeat until you reach the required size of the level within the time allowed. The growth gameplay design makes it incredibly addictive, with the time limits giving it a sense of urgency. On top of the growth gameplay, the zany, eclectic list of items and areas you are rolling up are the star of the show. A strange collection of childhood toys, cards, to even a Sega SG-1000 Mark II eventually lead to rolling up dogs, cats, and humans themselves, whose comical screams and reactions to being rolled up always put a big smile on my face. Now that's a very basic, maybe even poor description of the items you collect in the game. There are so many wacky yet humorous sights to see in this game, like why is a guy riding a panda, and why are sumo wrestlers twirling each other around. In fact, the best part of the game is that nothing makes sense, yet it still makes sense in the strange childhood imagination world presented in Katamari Damacy. Eventually your Katamari grows big enough to roll up houses, skyscrapers, and even large chunks of land in the later levels. The game has a deep sense of humor with a lighthearted atmosphere and some addictive gameplay. The comical game concept mixed with the comical objects to roll means the game definitely doesn't take itself too seriously, despite its seriously fun gameplay. This game is a timeless classic that is fun in all generations. When I first booted up REROLL after buying it off of Steam on my PC, it was strangely in a windowed mode, and while there is a way to play it with a keyboard and mouse, I decided to pick up an Xbox One controller that I found on clearance at my local Walmart, because the way the game controls using both analog sticks to move, turn, and even dash doesn't translate well on the PC without a controller. REROLL is also available on the Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Series X, but having not bought a new console since the Wii I bought over a decade ago, Steam was the only option I personally had to play it. For the Steam version, you'll definitely want to get a controller. REROLL makes some changes to the original. For example, extra time has been added to some of the constellation levels, making REROLL a little easier than the PS2 original. However, the visuals are the most obvious upgrade, adding a widescreen perspective to see more and higher resolutions. This is, however, a remaster and luckily not a remake, so not a whole lot has been changed graphically outside of higher resolutions and some of the character art. This is a good thing because REROLL retains mostly the same unique art style of the original, along with the cheerfully bright color palette. Not just the interesting art direction, but also the brightness and colors make this game a game you can tell is meant to be a happy experience. This is a game that has an uplifting air about it. The entire visual design, from the flamboyant King of the Cosmos, the story cutscenes featuring a family that bear witness to the goings-on, to the art direction and the uplifting bright look of the game, are a throwback to the days when games didn't take themselves so freaking seriously. The tracks that play in certain levels in the game have also been shuffled a little in Reroll, and there are some other minute changes, but playing almost entirely through the PS2 version while writing this review, and then also playing Reroll alongside it turns out that I was too busy just playing the game to notice any changes. My only disclaimer with this game comes with listening to Katamari on the Rocks, the game's main theme.
Once you hear it, it attaches itself to your soul and it will never leave you. At random, you will find yourself lying it out for the rest of your life. It will not leave. Remember that you have been warned.
Okay, I can't lie, I love the title theme in particular, and the rest of the songs, while not my usual taste in music, are also fitting for the game. The sounds are well done, and some of these sound bites, like the screams of the people when you roll them up, are hilarious. Reroll also changes the story scenes back to Japanese voiceovers with English subtitles, whereas the PS2 was English dubbed. The game controls great once you learn the controls idiosyncrasies, so long as you have a controller to use with the PC version. There were supposedly some control changes according to the game's official wiki page, but jumping from the PS2 version to Reroll, I can tell you that I haven't really noticed much difference. Again, I was too absorbed in the gameplay to notice. If I have any complaints with Katamari, it's that the game is rather short. I completely beat it in about 5 hours on my first run through. That being said, I obviously have found replay value in coming back to the game every so often, but your mileage may vary. The only other complaint I have has to do with the constellation levels, where instead of rolling up as much stuff as you can, you have to roll up a bunch of one type of thing to create a constellation, or something similar to that. I did these missions just to complete the game, but never found them to be as enjoyable as the main levels. I understand they were added for variety's sake, but honestly, this is one of those games where the main concept is so fun that any side missions distract more from the experience rather than improve it. Beautiful Katamari on the Xbox 360 would later add these kinds of objectives to the main levels. Though I still enjoy that game, the straight simplicity of the original just makes for a more fun experience without further unneeded convolution to the formula. Adding further pointless objectives on top of the formula, focusing on DLC and online play, are also probably why Beautiful Katamari is one of the least favorite games in the series amongst fans. That, and Keita Takahashi's not being involved in the development. I still think it's a fun game, but yes, not the best in the series now that I have played the first two. Still worth a look, and it is backwards compatible to the Xbox One and Series X. Okay, I'll stop, I'm sorry. The bottom line, Katamari Damacy will always be fun and always be engaging. This is a game that still stands out as one of the most imaginative, unique experiences in gaming history, and it's an uplifting ode to how bright the world can be in the imagination of a child. If you're having a bad day, play Katamari. If you're feeling down, play Katamari. If you're having a great day, play Katamari. If you've never played Katamari, just play this game. Reroll is available on every platform under the sun, or you can find it on the PS2 for the original. This is one of those forever fun games that every gamer should experience at least once.